My name is Sophia Johnson. Eric took me out. But my sister Lily insisted on coming along. We encountered kidnappers who held Lily at gunpoint, demanding Eric raise ransom money. I'll never forget the look in Eric's eyes that day, overflowing with concern. He told the kidnapper, "Can we switch hostages? She's pregnant and shouldn't be stressed." Then he turned to me, "Sophia. I'm sorry. She's carrying my child. Take her place." 6 months later, when I returned from captivity with a visible pregnancy, Eric lost control. "Whose child is that?" I thought I knew Eric inside out, childhood sweethearts. Betrothed since infancy. Never in my wildest nightmares did I imagine him declaring my 19-year-old sister pregnant, demanding I substitute as hostage for my own pregnant sibling. Staring at him like a fool, I asked the stupidest question, "Who's the father of Lily's baby?" Eric pressed his lips into a tight line. Even the kidnapper chuckled, "Hell. Even I can tell whose it is." Lighting a cigarette, he gestured at Eric. "Well? Which hostage?" When Eric turned his face away, my world froze. The boy who'd vowed to marry me, who'd cherished me like fragile porcelain, who'd never glanced at other women, now gazed at my sister with protective anxiety, warning her to mind the baby. Then he looked at me, "Sophia. I'll get you out. Just endure this for now. The baby's innocent," finally telling the kidnapper, "Take her. I'm leaving with the other." Not a cent otherwise. Tears blurred my vision. That sharp jawline I'd once found so attractive now looked cruelly angular. "Eric." I trembled. "I'll go." Truth was, I had no choice. The warmth in his eyes when he looked at me had vanished, transferred entirely to my 19-year-old sister. Sniffling, I asked, "Just tell me when it started. Was it when I called after falling? And you panted through that fake business meeting? Or my birthday when you blamed mosquito bites for those neck marks? Or, my tears fell silently, on Mom's death anniversary? The one day you always stayed with me, but this year vanished for 12 hours? So many red flags," I beat my forehead. Yet I never doubted him, my childhood companion. The man I loved with every fiber of my being. That he'd betray me. Sleep with my sister. This sister who came with baggage. Lily, Dad's love child. The secret that killed Mom. After Mom's death, Lily and her mother moved into our home. Overnight, Dad became her father alone, gifting her precious jewels. Prime real estate. Undivided paternal love. He told me, "Sophia. Don't be jealous. Lily grew up fatherless while you had both parents. I'm just making amends, forgetting bastard children aren't supposed to have fathers." I watched him donate to universities for her admission. Transfer company shares to her name. Pour all fatherly affection into this sister. Watched her mother sleep in Mom's bed. Wear Mom's jewelry. Socialize with Mom's friends. I finally understood the true meaning of abandonment. Even the servants treated me differently. I thought Eric would be the only constant. He used to hold me close, murmuring, "Don't worry. Once I marry you into the Brown family, everyone including your stepmother and sister will grovel at your feet." Back then, I truly believed we'd last forever. Then Lily started fainting repeatedly in front of Eric, bruising her forehead yet biting back tears. She'd tremble like a frightened rabbit, pointing at my designer clothes to ask Eric about brands she'd never seen growing up poor. She'd accidentally reveal self-harm scars before hastily covering them. Eyes welling up until Eric finally embraced her as she sobbed about childhood bullying and depression. I watched Eric's hands transition from awkward hesitation to gently rubbing Lily's back. Just like now. They walked away entwined, never glancing back. They knew I was already gone. Pain lanced through my chest as Eric's figure retreated. "Eric. Is this your final choice?" He didn't answer. Merely tightened his grip on Lily and disappeared. Turning to the smirking kidnapper, I asked hollowly, "Where are you taking me now?" Victor lit a cigarette, eyes glinting coldly under his baseball cap. "Hostages don't get questions." I expected death. Instead, I survived 8 months in captivity until the police raid. Victor laughed during his arrest, his narrowed eyes suddenly warm as they met mine for the last time. Returning home, I found Lily pregnant, my stepmother and father hovering nearby, and Eric's shadowed gaze. He stepped forward urgently. "Sophia." Lily sniffled. "We've been so worried. None of us could eat or sleep. Funny, only Eric looked haggard. His calloused hand brushed my shoulder. Did they hurt you? I shifted away. Don't touch me. I hired detectives. Mercenaries. His voice cracked. I thought transferring ransom immediately would. You hate yourself? I laughed coldly. For sleeping with your fiancé's sister? Or for getting condoms? Eric froze. The old Sophia would never say condoms, the perfect porcelain doll groomed by etiquette coaches. His jaw tightened. I deserve your hatred. Don't flatter yourself. I moved past him. I just don't want you near my baby. What? Where could I get pregnant? My smile turned savage. The realization hit him, he'd left me with a dangerous man for 8 months. Eric paled. Pacing frenetically. Sophia. Tell me this isn't true. I can't accept that you're pregnant. Sophia Johnson, sat on the sofa, staring at the antique English porcelain plate from my mother's collection displayed on the coffee table. The set she'd promised would be my dowry now held Lily's favorite milk candies. I chuckled. Why so shocked? Didn't you foresee the consequences when you turned your back on me? You can't handle my pregnancy? Then how do you think I felt when Lily got pregnant? I swept the candies into the trash and picked up the plate. My mother's belongings shouldn't be touched. As I headed upstairs, my father finally snapped out of his daze. Wait. Explain yourself, how are you pregnant? My stepmother chimed in. The plate isn't worth this drama. Put it down and talk about the baby. I paused on the stairs. It's the kidnapper's child. Who else? I gestured at Lily. Her child didn't require explanations. Why should mine? Lily cradled her belly, tears glistening. Sophia. Eric and I couldn't help ourselves. What's done is done. Her gaze burned into the plate I held, resentment simmering beneath her trembling voice. At least my baby has respectable parents. Yours. What about mine? My smile widened. My child's father is the greatest man alive. Crash. Eric had knocked over a teacup. His face ashen. I used to call him the greatest man alive, since childhood. The same man who'd pushed me into hell. Now that I'd clawed my way back, my heart belonged to another. Yet Eric looked devastated. Don't blame me, I said softly. You orchestrated this. My bedroom door revealed a nightmare of Pepto-Bismol pink bedspread, curtains, lampshades. Lily's signature color had invaded my sanctuary. History repeated itself. Mother's sage green bedroom had been painted tangerine within 3 days of her death. Even our childhood nanny got fired for murmuring about lost elegance. Lily sniffled behind me. I needed sunlight during my pregnancy. Should I move back? Father waved dismissively. Sisters should share. I shut the door. I'll vomit if I see anything nauseating. Turning to leave, I added. Hotels exist for a reason. Lily's tears flowed faster. I'll clear the room. Then do it. I crossed my arms, remembering Victor Taylor's fingers brushing my hair as he made me promise, never let them hurt you again. I'll wait. The hallway echoed with her muffled sobs. I stood motionless, watching pink curtains flutter through the open doorway. This time, I wouldn't cry. This time, I'd make them remember. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see Lily take action. Instead, my father stepped in to mediate. Your sister Lily has lived in this room for so long. Moving her out now would be too much hassle, it'd take ages to pack everything. He pointed to the room across the hall. Just sleep in Lily's old bedroom. I glanced where he pointed. Her former room still had the oversized photo of her and Eric hanging above the bed, alongside my father's tacky reshot wedding portrait with his second wife. Expecting me to endure those 2 images day and night? The old me would have lost her mind halfway through the first hour. I studied this stranger who'd once called me his little princess. The man who swore I was his entire world. That everything he had would be mine. Funny how blood ties can rot overnight. Turning toward the staircase, I said flatly, I'll stay at a hotel. He shouted after me. We haven't even discussed how you'll handle that baby. Then, lower and venomous, it's just a room. Can't you let your sister have this? Is this how your mother raised you, to be this petty? I froze. Drag my dead mother into this? The woman who'd scraped through poverty-stricken years building his empire with him? Swiveling back, I smiled thinly. If I were you, I'd tell Lily to start packing. She'll be out by noon tomorrow. I didn't look back as his curses chased me past the wrought iron gates. This place hadn't been home for years. Footsteps pounded behind me. Eric caught my arm. You're really leaving over a bedroom? I stared up at him. Why do you care? What are you to me? He flinched but held on. The pregnancy, it's fake. Right? Annoyed. I yanked the ultrasound report from my bag. See for yourself. Hurry up, my Uber's coming. He recoiled like the paper burned him. Grip tightening until I hissed in pain. Snatching my arm back. I ordered the ride while he stood pale and shaken. Sophia, how did this happen? His anguish baffled me. Isn't this what you wanted? Your ex knocked up by someone else. Finally out of your way? No more obstacles between you and your soulmate? Eric rubbed his temples. After you disappeared. I realized you mattered. Save the monologue. The headlights of my ride cut through his words. Car's here. As I slid in. He gripped the doorframe. Desperate. Terminate it. Please. This child, it's killing me. I studied the man who'd never fought this hard when it mattered. One finger at a time. I pried his hand loose. What exactly gives you the right to demand that? Eric? As my brother-in-law? His silence followed me into the night. Alone in the hotel suite. I thought of my stolen bedroom, the sunniest corner of that mausoleum. Every curtain and floorboard chosen by my mother. Now defiled. The blackened windows reminded me of another night years ago. When a voice in the darkness had kept me sane. The second night after Eric abandoned me to those kidnappers in the mountains. He'd said his name was Victor. He tossed me a chicken drumstick. Stop crying. So what if someone stole your man? Too grief-stricken to feel afraid. I sniffled. Easy for you to say. Do you know how much this hurts? Victor sat beside me under the night sky. A cigarette dangling from his lips. And chuckled. Never lost a man. But I've had chicken stolen. He raised his drumstick. I was starving on the streets for a week when some kind soul gave me this. Had to fight to get it back or die trying. In my 23 privileged years, I'd never imagined such desperation. My tears stopped as he continued. That homeless giant kept stealing my food. I jumped on his back and sank my teeth into his ear. No matter how he smashed me against walls. I held on. Just kept thinking, I will survive. What happened? I breathed. Forgetting all about Eric. Victor tore into the meat. His fox-like eyes crinkling. Let's just say I'm here eating chicken. After that. Nobody dared touch my stuff. He nodded at my drumstick. When people try to take what's yours, make them regret existing. He left after finishing his meal. I stared at the stars. Then took a savage bite of my cold chicken. 6 months later. I suddenly craved drumsticks. Before ordering delivery, I texted my father, restore my bedroom by noon tomorrow or I'll liquidate all mom's stocks. He bombarded my phone with calls. I silenced it. Ate my chicken. And slept. Mom had left me all her shares. Dad's company wouldn't collapse if I cashed out. But it'd cripple him for years. He switched tactics. You used to be so obedient. You're breaking my heart. Right. Obedient while my room. Father. And fiancé got stolen. Not anymore. His 60-second voice messages turned to screaming. I googled stock liquidation procedures and screenshot the steps to him. Silence. Then, come at noon tomorrow. I visited Aunt Chin at dawn. Dad's biggest investor, the woman Mom persuaded to save his company decades ago. Dad had blocked her from contacting me after Mom's death. You look terrible. Aunt Chin said. Tears I hadn't shed since returning finally fell. At noon, I entered my childhood bedroom and froze. The ivory vanity Mom bought me? Smashed. My ballet trophies? Crushed underfoot. The 4-poster bed we'd picked in Paris? Replaced with a cheap twin mattress. Dad stood smugly beside my stepsister Lily. Be reasonable. Sophia. Lily needs her own space now. Lily fluttered her lashes. I didn't mean to take your room. But Dad insisted. I walked to the shattered vanity mirror. Picking up a sharp fragment. Dad paled. What are you? Relax. I smiled. Blood dripping from my palm as I clenched the glass. Just remembering how Victor taught me to protect what's mine. The color drained from Lily's face as I advanced. Dad lunged between us. Stop this madness. Or what? I pressed the shard to his tie. Will you call the cops? Explain why your daughter needs protection from her own father. My smile widened. Let's discuss my 38% company shares instead. By sunset, contractors were restoring my bedroom. Lily's belongings sat in trash bags on the lawn. Victor texted that night, heard you went feral. Proud of you. Wildcat. I stared at the Band-Aid on my hand. Turns out chicken isn't the only thing worth fighting for. His reply came instantly, told you. Next time. I'll teach you knife tricks. The glass shard glinted on my nightstand. I fell asleep smiling. Sophia surveyed the meticulously recreated room, her elegant decor. Pristine bedding. Even the flowering plants and chaise lounge on the terrace perfectly replicated. She turned to Mr. Johnson with a nod. Impressive work. You must truly fear my stock liquidation plans. Mr. Johnson's face darkened as Mrs. Johnson intervened. Sophia dear. Must you be so blunt? Your father's been planning a homecoming banquet to cleanse your misfortune. Examining her manicure. Sophia arched an eyebrow. A banquet? How thoughtful. She rose gracefully. I wondered why you barely glanced at me since my return from 6 months' captivity. What a lovely surprise. Mr. Johnson's jaw tightened as he shot his wife an irritated look. Clearly displeased with this turn of events. Mrs. Johnson seemed startled by Sophia's newfound assertiveness. Sophia's fingers brushed the unremarkable silver bracelet on her wrist, its crude craftsmanship hiding a rare emerald. Victor's parting gift surfaced in her memory. His voice urgent as he fastened it, return to the light. Fight. Claw. Reclaim what's yours. Rise above them all. Having trouble with the guest list. Father? Sophia's voice sliced through the tension. She dialed Aunt Chen. Could you assist with invitations? Let's make it grand, we need proper cleansing. Mr. Johnson turned puce when she mentioned the renowned stockbroker on her phone screen. Sophia. Have you no shame parading your condition? He hissed. She gestured at Lily's visible pregnancy. And this model of propriety? Mrs. Johnson simpered. What's done is done. Shouldn't we embrace reality and bless your sister? By all means. Sophia smiled. Eric comes gift wrapped with Lily. Trash belongs with trash. A choked cough echoed from below. Eric stood rigid in the foyer. His aristocratic bearing failing to conceal his pallor. The banquet surpassed even Lily's infamous 19th birthday extravaganza. Aunt Chen's recommended planners transformed the Johnson estate into a gilded spectacle. Sophia's crimson lips curved as whispers followed her entrance in a gold mermaid gown. Sapphires glittering at her throat. The eldest Johnson daughter's breathtaking. Guests murmured. Why does old Johnson only praise the younger? Sophia's stilettos clicked toward Eric. His gaze traveled to her scarlet mouth. I never knew this side of you. He rasped. She tilted her head. Azure earrings catching the light. You never looked. The crowd's buzzing approval hummed in her veins. This was merely the opening gambit. I smiled and extended my hand toward him. The opening dance? Eric's eyes lit up with pleasant surprise. Of course, Lily bit her lip and called out softly. Eric. I'm not feeling well, but he didn't hear. How could a man who'd abandoned his fiancée at gunpoint resist temptation when faced with fresh prey? His arms encircled me as we glided across the ballroom. Sophia. I've missed holding you like this. Eric murmured against my ear. I pressed a finger to his lips with a playful smile. Spinning until his gaze turned hazy with desire. So this was the man I'd loved for years. Resting my head on his shoulder, I whispered. Tell me about your family's downtown investments. You know I've got no one to rely on now. They say it's better to fish than beg for scraps. If I could learn to earn my own, Eric chuckled. Anything you want to learn. I'll teach. Just keep smiling at me like that. As the music faded, we parted. Across the room, Lily's eyes glistened with unshed tears. But Eric's attention remained fixed on Mrs. Chin tapping her champagne flute. Friends, the matriarch announced. We've reached a decision regarding Penguay Group's future leadership. Her finger pointed unerringly at me. This young woman grew up before our eyes. Her mother built this company alongside us. After discussion, All major shareholders agree, Sophia will join executive training immediately. When she inherits the Johnson family legacy, we'll rest assured. The crowd erupted in whispers. I approached Mrs. Chen with gracious thanks, savoring my father's panic and Lily's fury. They'd blocked her CEO ambitions for refusing entry-level work, deeming her unfit for leadership. Yet here stood the neglected daughter, suddenly crowned heir apparent. Let them rage. My mother's shares still held my father's empire hostage. Her connections could topple his throne. We'd simply never wielded that power before. The orchestra swelled as I danced through my father's glares, becoming everything the timid Sophia had never dared to be, captivating, bold. Eric's obsession made flesh. Lily trembled with fury, tugging at our father's sleeve until Mrs. Chen's sharp words finally made him shrug her off. I raised my grape juice in mocking toast. Lily stormed over, accidentally bumping me. Oh no! She cried theatrically. Are the baby's grandparents' legacy all right? Those first trimesters are so delicate. The room froze. Is Sophia pregnant? Disappeared for half a year, whose child? I shrugged at the gossip. Though memories surfaced unbidden, Victor's mischievous eyes glaring through my tears during those early hostage days. He'd gruffly offered to return me when ransom cleared. I refused. Not because kidnapping terrified me, but because losing mom meant home no longer existed. Father became Lily's parent. Eric became Lily's lover. What remained to reclaim? No roots. Just endless drifting. Until today. Victor watched me cry in silence for a while before asking curiously. You've fallen this far. Why haven't I heard you curse even once to vent? Sniffling. I replied. Proper ladies maintain decorum. Some words shouldn't be spoken, regardless of circumstances. Victor froze. Then he burst into laughter so hard he nearly doubled over. No wonder they stripped you bare, home. Father. Lover. Not a single thing left for you. I glared through angry tears as he wiped my cheek. He told me a story, two friends. One principled and cultured. The other morally flexible. The cultured one started a company using his patents, generously sharing profits. His friends stole those patents, sold them to competitors for startup capital. The honorable man, unprepared for such betrayal, died of rage. His widow abandoned their child to the streets while the thief prospered, adulterous affairs. Dead wives. Life's golden boy. Victor tossed me a tissue. Choose, die with dignity or claw your way back. If you pick the latter, I'll teach you for kicks. I clutched that tissue all night. My mother died with her principles. I kept mine and got discarded. That story's child paid for parental virtue. At dawn, red-eyed, I found Victor. I choose survival. Every villain will reap what they've sown. By the reception's end, the Johnson family trio had lost their smiles. Only Eric's gaze followed me, laughing wildly, dancing freely, holding grape juice court with guests, watching me claim the ballroom as undisputed queen. Afterwards, he intercepted me before Lily could approach. May I have the honor of driving you home? I smiled at my sister's glare. You may. Night breeze teased my hair, leaving Eric speechless. He opened the car door, something he'd done when we first met, before making me trail behind him like an afterthought. Settling in, I waved at Lily. Get home safe. Wouldn't want you catching chill in your condition. Eric's jaw tightened as we drove off. After miles, he finally spoke. You used to depend on me. Oh yes. Clumsy heiress burning microwave meals. Barging into Brown Enterprises with love-struck lunchboxes. Met by frosty rejection, don't disrupt my workplace. Later realizing, those were Lily's early pregnancy days. When did they? I glanced at his sharp profile. Unchanged from rejection days. Someone taught me self-reliance. My smile turned honey-sweet. Eric slammed the brakes. That criminal? His voice strained under streetlight glow. Are you trying to make me jealous? If so, no. My reflection grinned venom, sweet in the window. Eyes glittering knives. He's everything you'll never be. I love him. Fiercely. Silence swallowed the car whole. The silence was so profound you could hear a pin drop. Eric's eyes clouded with profound anguish. Don't say that. Sophia. Please. He pleaded, massaging his temples. There's this condition called Stockholm Syndrome where hostages bond with captors. It's pathological. Let me get you help, he kept grasping at excuses like a drowning man. Desperate to prove I didn't love Victor but was mentally compromised. I maintained a faint smile, watching his lips move and his Adam's apple bob, neither agreeing nor contradicting. The real sickness here wasn't mine, it belonged to the man who'd slept with his sister-in-law while pushing his fiancée toward gun barrels. The depravity lay with those who shared hardships with their spouses only to bring home illegitimate children during better times, driving their wives to early graves while mistreating the legitimate heirs. The true madness was stealing paternal love from rightful children and coveting their romantic destinies too. But I said nothing, letting the performance continue until I chose to dismantle this grotesque theater. Was the pregnancy his coercion? Eric pressed. Sophia. I'm not judging. But if I hadn't left you behind that day. I smiled without answering. He'd never believe the truth. Coercion? Victor had indeed forced me, not in the way Eric imagined, but through brutal training regimes. Physical strength breeds mental ferocity. He'd growled, drilling me in combat. Firearms. Surveillance countermeasures. Even wilderness tracking. The street urchin who'd fought for chicken bones. The mercenary who moved like an apex predator during hunts that man had shown uncharacteristic tenderness when bringing me to his mountain refuge. Watching him battle beasts with cold precision, I realized my past grievances weren't worth tears. I vowed never to show weakness again. Yet I broke that vow during our final month together, waking from a dream where my mother smiled farewell. I sobbed into Victor's chest as he stiffened momentarily before cradling me, humming lullabies until dawn. Our child was conceived that night willingly. Completely. Now I walked into my father's corporation, seizing control of the Brown family collaboration project. My father resisted. His wife and Lily protested louder. But Eric's insistence as Brown Air forced compliance. Sweetheart. My father later wheedled. You've been through trauma, the kidnapping. Pregnancy. Deep down. You're still my obedient girl. Right? Don't upset Lily. She's nearing her due date. I rose, whispering in his ear, no. The most dangerous people aren't the perpetually cruel, but the long-suffering who finally snap. My father never learned this. Business meetings with Eric stretched into candlelit dinners. Hospital visits for simple colds became chauffeur-driven affairs. The final fracture came when Lily, always the delicate white rabbit, found us reviewing contracts past midnight. Her porcelain composure shattered completely. She had a huge fight with Eric. Rumor has it he kicked her out of his office and blocked her on WeChat. My sister Lily coldly asked me, "Are you satisfied now?" I whistled while reviewing documents. This is just the beginning. Sis. The tides are turning. Lily sneered. Don't forget I'm carrying Eric's child. While that thing in your belly is just a bastard. I closed my files and stood up slowly. Didn't your mother teach you basic decency? I poured my coffee over her head in deliberate motion. You really want to discuss illegitimate pregnancies? Look in the mirror first. She screamed and tried to escape. But I pinned her down, wiping her face with tissues. I explained. Just cleaning my coffee stains. Wouldn't want to get sticky. Lily's face flushed crimson. Eric will hear about this. Her threat died as my palm connected with her cheek. The slap echoed through the room. Victor's combat training served me well. As she fled sobbing, I meticulously cleaned each finger with wet wipes. Why waste breath on these parasites? Why should Victor rot in prison over some staged kidnapping? My visits to Eric's office became daily rituals. We'd discuss projects, then linger over coffee and pastries. Teach me more. I'd plead. If I could learn half your skills, his smile turned tender. Sophia. How did I never see this side of you before? The irony choked me. For 12 years he'd adored me. Until Lily arrived. Now I was just human shield for his precious mistress. Yet Eric proved thorough instructor. Dissecting business strategies like autopsy reports. I absorbed every word. To outsiders, we appeared reconciled. Lily and our stepmother panicked. But father stayed silent. Eric had bought his compliance with 2 lucrative deals. Typical. After a week of this charade, Eric summoned me to a private hospital. Finding myself in the maternity ward, I threw down the obligatory bouquet. What fresh hell is this? His eyes burned fanatically. I want you back. Sophia. Properly. His gaze dropped to my bump. Just us. Disgust rolled through me. Even my unborn child recoiled. Schedule an abortion without consulting me? I backed away. Bile rising. Eric blocked the exit. You're trauma bonded to Victor's memory. We'll get you therapy. But first, I retched violently. His audacity surpassed my worst expectations. Be good. If you want a child, I can give you one. Let's get rid of this criminal's spawn. I steadied my breathing, desperately suppressing the urge to vomit. Silently pleading with the baby in my womb, hold on. Little one. Mommy needs to punch someone first. My fists clenched as I rapidly reviewed the plan. It was nearly complete. Time to end this charade. Looking Eric straight in the eyes, I demanded, who gave you permission to call my husband a criminal? Before he could respond, my fist connected with his nose. Blood trickled down as he stared in shock. Sophia. Who said my child is a criminal's offspring? I swung again. But Eric's combat training kicked in. He dodged smoothly, grabbing his tie. I wiped blood from my knuckles. Think before you speak. Eric. You're not exactly everyone's favorite. Why would I ever choose you? His lips pressed into a thin line. Voice hoarse. What's gotten into you? Sophia? You'd rather carry some kidnapper's child than give me a chance? Not just a chance. Soon you'll regret ever crossing me. Leaving the hospital, I initiated the final phase. At home, I removed listening devices from beneath my father's desk. The next day at his corporate office, I repeated the process with practiced ease. On day 2, I checked into a hotel. By day 5, I'd liquidated all my mother's stocks. When Aunt Chen withdrew her investments, Johnson Enterprises plunged into crisis. My father bombarded me with calls and nostalgic messages, including our old picnic photo where he kissed my cheek. He forgot Mom took that picture. If only she'd met someone like Victor. But life deals what it deals. Sighing, I compiled damning audio recordings from his office and home. Uploaded selections went viral overnight. Johnson Enterprises CEO exposed for tax evasion and bribery trended nationwide. Stocks plummeted as shareholders demanded answers. His final text trembled with rage, you ungrateful wretch. Karma will get you. I smiled. Typing back, why would karma target me when it spared you? The man who drove his wife to death and betrayed his best friend? P.S. Victor says hello from the afterlife. The typing bubble flickered endlessly before his response came. How do you know Victor? My hand rested on my baby bump. He's your grandchild's namesake. The principled man whose patents you stole. Victor's father. When the police took my father and stepmother away, I whispered to my unborn child, your grandfathers finally met. The company couldn't hold on and declared bankruptcy. All our family's real estate was liquidated to pay off debts. My pregnant sister, Lily, was evicted from the mansion. Sobbing, she went to find Eric. But Eric only gave her money for a hotel, he didn't even let her stay at his place. He called me, Sophia. I know this must be hard for you. Don't worry. I'll handle everything. Meanwhile, I was having tea with the Brown family's biggest competitor, holding a folder containing all their trade secrets and vulnerabilities. When his call came, I smiled sweetly and thanked him. Take care of yourself first. I chirped. 3 days later, the Brown family lost a major deal. A week after that, their largest partner jumped ship. Within 3 months, competitors swarmed them like vultures. Scandals erupted. Banks froze their credit lines. And the Brown empire began its freefall. Eric stopped contacting me until one late night call. He sounded exhausted. Lily gave birth. I paused. Then said, congratulations. My mind flashed to that afternoon years ago when Eric announced Lily's pregnancy before sending me as a hostage. The old pain was gone, replaced by grim satisfaction. At least I'd been the hostage instead of Lily. At least she was the one bearing Eric's child. At least my baby was Victor's. I heard cigarette smoke hiss through his teeth. I finally figured it out. Sophia. His voice tightened. You're the only one who could have bugged your father's home and office simultaneously. Every leaked secret? Those were all meetings you attended. This entire collapse, it's your design. Sipping my tea, I giggled. So what? He struggled to breathe evenly. After a cough, he rasped. What if I kept the child and sent Lily away? Would you come back then? Even now. His words turned my stomach. Planning to discard the mother and keep the baby? Sophia. His voice shook. I don't care what you've done. I want you. I regret everything, Lily's pregnancy. Sending you to that man, his tone dropped to a broken whisper. Your father and stepmother are in prison. My family's ruined. Haven't I suffered enough for your forgiveness? I swallowed my tea, gazing at city lights twinkling like fallen stars. 1 more year until Victor's release. Soon, we'd have our own warm glow among these countless lights. Smiling, I told Eric. You're not even fit to shine my lover's shoes. You belong with trash like Lily. The night air felt lighter after hanging up. All debts were settled. 2 events marked the following year, my daughter's birth and Victor's homecoming. When the Johnson family mansion, repossessed then repurchased, was restored to my mother's original designs. I brought my baby home. Eric's car sat waiting outside. The Brown family never recovered. Eric now resembled a ghost of his former self, haggard, struggling to rebuild from nothing. As I carried my daughter past his trembling figure, I didn't glance back. Victor would be waiting at our doorstep by sunset. But in the end, Eric had the capability. The Brown family was slowly recovering. My sister Lily had a child but never became Mrs. Brown. She constantly pressured Eric for marriage, while he kept refusing. Her gentle nature eroded through endless arguments that left their baby wailing. Eric spent days salvaging the Brown family business and nights battling Lily. When we met again, he looked haggard. Seeing my child, his eyes dimmed as he forced a bitter smile. Even after he went to prison, you still had his baby. He lowered his head. Now I believe you truly loved him. I hurried home with my daughter, tossing back. Yeah. Right. Eric laughed again, the sound tinged with sorrow and weariness. As I closed the door, he murmured like he was asking both of us. If I hadn't chased that fleeting excitement back then, would this have been our child? I shook my head. There are no what-ifs, Eric. Only roads we can't retrace. After a pause, I added. But I'm grateful you chose Lily. Otherwise, I'd never have met my true love. The man who'd been my light in darkest times. When everything settled, I remained thankful to fate for giving me the right person. Eric swayed slightly, face paling. Eventually he smiled stiffly. Good. Then I won't disturb you anymore. May your life be happy. He turned away, silhouette lonely in the sunset. Goodbye. Watching him leave, I remembered childhood vows, little Eric raising his hand to swear. I, Eric Brown, promise to always cherish Sophia. If I break this, curse me to eternal loneliness. None of us knew then how hollow promises could be. Sighing, I carried my daughter home. My father sentenced. Stepmother sentenced. Lily and Eric despising each other. All past entanglements finally concluded. Next month, Victor would be released. A month later, I brought our daughter to meet Victor at the prison gates. He cradled her, winking at me with teary amusement. Then suddenly he broke down sobbing, clutching us fiercely. I held him back, tears soaking his shoulder. Now, I finally had a family again.